Good morning, this is a Dude in the Kitchen episode. We're starting in the garden because I'm going to be picking some fresh ingredients for the simplest dill pickle recipe from the Better Homes and Garden Cookbook. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. This is the Dude in the Kitchen episode, and I'm harvesting cucumbers from my cucumber patch because I'm going to be making the simplest dill pickle recipe I have ever made. Now, I've made this recipe before, but this was from the Better Homes and Garden Cookbook. I'll go ahead and leave a link down below for you guys to be able to purchase one from Amazon. It has shipped directly to your door, but this is an epic, simple recipe. Now we got one right here. Yes. I'm just trying to add to the pickling process here. Here's another one. And these suckers are like, it's hide and seek. You never know if you're going to find any or what you're going to find or even how big you're going to find them. Yeah, here's another one that's of size, and there's a bunch of little ones in there, but I'm going to wait for them to get grow up just a little bit more. Yeah, there's several of them in there, so I can come out, probably next week and make another batch. You know, check all my runners. They're going off all over the place. I think next year when I grow this variety of cucumber, I'll go ahead and trellis them because I do want to build some new raised beds back here and then put the trellises in and probably grow tomatoes and cucumbers back there. That's a thought. I don't see any more, but I have a lot of cucumbers that are already prepped and ready to go. And here's another ingredient that I need. Fresh dill. Yes, the recipe calls for fresh dill. So we're going to grab some dill head. And I think I'll get several jars, probably 8 maybe. That's about how many I'll get. So let's take these into the house and let's go process these. They're late for breakfast. So let's go into the kitchen and yes, we'll get these ready with the rest of them and make us some dill pickles. There's a lot of stuff to harvest in that garden. I've got so much to do with the Dude in the Kitchen. Now I gotta wash my cucumbers off and rinse the dill. And we'll sit them over here and get them ready. Now, I gotta trim the ends off of those cucumbers, and I've been keeping a special container for collecting cucumber ends, because I found out I can make a cucumber vinegar from that, and that's a new adventure I want to take. Those are not cucumbers. Where'd my cucumbers go? Got them. They were in the other freezer. So this is how many cucumber ends I got so far from what I collected to make my big batch of cucumbers. So what you want to do is wash your cucumbers and cut the ends off, because especially the bloom end, because in the bloom end is the enzymes which cause the ripening, and this will help you have crispy pickles. We'll put this back in the freezer. And get my apron on. Now, as far as the cookbook goes, this is the cookbook I'm actually using for the recipe, for the simple recipe for dill pickles. And then also it has a USD guidelines for canning. We're going to be water bath canning these. Now I pressure canned pickles and another variety of dill pickles. And then also I'm going to leave the a thing to the USDA home canning cookbook so you guys can can safely and know what kind of foods to can. Now I take a fourth of a cup of pickling salts. This is kind of like a sea salt. It's a canning and pickling salt you want to use, and fill it with water, and then I give it a couple of hours soak in the refrigerator for for a couple of hours. That refrigerator's full. Get this filled with water. And salt. Now they want you to boil the water on the stove top, put it in there, and put the pickles in there. So when you get the pickles in here, they kind of absorb all that salt, and then you soak it in the fridge. Okay, we got about 3 to 4 pounds of dill pickle. No, I got about 6 pounds of dill pickles, so I'm gonna have to double the recipe. In the recipe, it'll make about 6 pint jars. I'm using quarts because I want to save my pint jars. That's all I have left, wide mouth pint. That's for another project, but I have a lot of these left, so we're gonna make big jars of quart jars of simple dill pickles. So the recipe calls for 3 cups of water, bring it to a boil with 3 cups of pickling canning vinegar. You want to use this type. And then you want to use 1/4 cup of canning salt. You mix that together, you bring it to a boil. In addition to the vinegar, the salt, and the water, you're going to add 1/4 cup of sugar. And then that'll make your broth for your jars. And then you have a water bath canner. This is my water bath canner I purchased, I believe, at Walmart. But I can leave a link where you can get it shipped to you from Amazon. And you want to fill it with hot water, get it boiling, because you want to sterilize your jars in there. Now, as far as canning goes with your jars, select your jars that you want. Inspect your jars and make sure you wash them with soap and water. Inspecting them, make sure there's no cracks, and put your run your finger around the rim and make sure that it's no chips that you can feel, because that would compromise the seal from these lids. So once you get them washed, you fill them with water inside your canner, and let your canner come to a boil, and that you boil it for about 10 minutes, and that'll sanitize your jars until you're ready to use them. Now the lids, according to the manufacturer, it's written right on the box, according to the manufacturer, you have rings and lids. They do not recommend you boil the lids beforehand. Wash them with soap and water, rinse them, and set them aside is all you need to do, because the actual canning process will sterilize everything anyway. But with this new seal material that they have on these lids now, pre-boiling them to sterilize them could ruin them. So you guys don't want to do that. Just follow the manufacturer's recommendation. And also, as far as this enamel canner, following the manufacturer's guidelines, because it did come with a book and I did read the instruction book, they don't advise you put vinegar in the water. Some people put vinegar in the water to keep the hard water material from collecting on the jars. After you get done canning, just wash your jars, wash the outside of your jars, and label them, put them on the shelf. But do not put vinegar in the water with this, because vinegar breaks down and starts reacting with the enamel, and you'll ruin your canner. So now I have those 4 ingredients: water, vinegar, salt, and sugar in the pot. Bring it to a boil. Put the dill heads into your jars, and then once everything's boiling, fill your jars with your cleaned pickles, prepared how you want them, whether they're in spears, chips, or whole. And then take your funnel and ladle in the broth. Now you can opt for a tablespoon of dill seed, which you can get at the market if you don't have fresh dill weed available. So now my jars are sterilized. I'm going to take them out one by one, dump the water out, and then I'm going to set them down here. Go get my cucumbers. Now they suggest you drain and rinse your cucumbers really well. So, and I cut mine into spears. You quarter them lengthwise, or you can cut them into chips, depending on how you like them. Or if they're small enough, you can just do them whole. Drop them in the jar. Put a couple of dill heads in there. And then ladle in your broth right in through there, and then bring it up right to the 1/2 inch headspace is all you need. Loosely pack your pickles. Now once you get your pickles loosely packed, you can debubble them, but loosely packed you probably won't have to mess with that, because you get a debubbler wand with your canning kit. I have a partial canning kit displayed here: my jar lifter, canning kit, my ladle, and a funnel. This is all I'm going to use for this right here. Now when we get done with this much, it's filled with broth. I'm going to go ahead and take a wet paper towel and just wipe the rim, and then place a lid on the rim and put the lid down finger tight. That's it. Don't force it down any farther than that. And then it's filled with liquid, so you're going to set it down in your canner, your water bath canner. And hot jars, hot liquid, hot fluid in the canner is what you want. Do not put cold and hot together. So once you get that down, you bring it to a boil and you start counting down. Once it starts to boil, count it down. In our elevation for pints, it's 10 minutes. For quarts, it's 15 minutes. Sea level to 2,000 feet. Check the elevation and the canning recommendations for water bath canning in your region, wherever you guys live. So I guess the higher elevation, the longer the canning process for water bath canning. So you guys want to pay attention to that for safe canning. So we're going to set the, since these are quarts, we're going to set it for 15 minutes. And I'm going to set the timer over here. So water bath canning is probably the simplest method of canning, but you guys got to be careful on what foods you're water bath canning. Please follow the USD guidelines for safe canning practices and high acid foods. So you gotta identify what foods are high acid. Foods that are preserved with sugars, well, that's an acid. Salts, that's an acid. Vinegar, that's an acid. Those are all preservatives, so you can safely water bath can your products with those. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of these because I'm done with those. 10 minutes are up, or 15 minutes in our case. We've got quart jars. Let's get these out on the counter and get them cooled. Whenever you're steaming something, please lift the lid away from you like this so the steam flashes in, not in your face. You don't want to get a flash burn. So here's the jars of pickles that we had rendered earlier. I got 5 quarts because I had so many pickles. I had 5 quarts. And I cut these jars into spears. Make sure all the lids have created a suction. And then these are all cooled off. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my rings, label my lids, and put them in the pantry. Now, as a side note, when you're lifting the jars from a hot environment and putting them on another surface, make sure that surface is protected by either a towel, a sheet of cardboard, or a cutting board. I just use this cutting board. That way you don't risk shattering your jars by taking a hot jar, laying it against a cold countertop surface, and that will react with the jars. So now these are all ready for the pantry. Yep. So this is the cookbook I used. I bought this for my wife for Christmas many years ago when we first got married. And man, it has been a blessing because I have referred to it for a lot of recipes. Now, these pickles I've made before, this recipe I've made before, so this is not a new adventure for me. I just wanted to make another variety of pickles because if you notice, I made zesty hot dill pickles. I made pressure can dill pickles. I made bread and butter pickles. And then now I just made a simple recipe of regular, simple dill pickles. Just simple, regular. So check out the list down below. I'll leave a shopping list down for a water bath canner, and well, I'll leave a pressure canner down there too in case you guys don't have one. The cookbooks, the USDA guideline canning book for safe canning, and then the canning kit. In fact, the water bath canner I'll post down there will be complete with the rack that goes inside it and a canning kit with a jar lifter, the debubbler, and all the products you need for getting started with canning. Well, I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. This is Pine Meadows Hobby Farm, or Frugal Homestead, tucked high in the Cascade Ranges of the Pacific Northwest. Yes, this is an adventure in the kitchen with Dude in the Kitchen episode. This season, this is going into fall. We're not quite out of summer yet, but we're getting into fall. Busy time. Busy. Yes, my next adventure will be the first time ever making beef bone broth. Yeah, stay tuned for that episode. Look for it when I get to it. I'll be starting that project later today. So tune back in for that one. Anyway, be safe, always be kind, and have fun canning. Bye-bye now.